All right, my friends, it's T Bro, and I'm back with a new video. It's on JasonBlaha. Great, our good friend JasonBlaha. Yes, man, the strength and fitness dude, the gym lifting, diet lifting, recruiting lifting slave, whatever. Let's review this video, man. JasonBlaha says body part splits are supported by the most modern scientific evidence. Ooh, it is it? Okay. It's just another modality in exercise. That's all it is, really. Everything works in the beginning and then it stops working. Yes.
Hey everybody, it's JasonBlaha here. I thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys and gals. Let me get a sip of my water first.
It is. It's
my radio voice going on. Let's talk about this. And yes. I really do have to discuss this because of the fact that...
Yes, let's talk about this.
I used to be very opposed to body part splits a decade ago when I first started making content. And because I am...
Okay, here. There's nothing wrong with body parts splits, okay? But guess what? They're going to stop working. You're going to do them in the beginning, and then they're going to stop working. That's what's going to happen.
Doing a body part split, I do think it's important that I explain the logic and why I am doing that. Because it's not just an arbitrary...
I'll tell you about the logic of doing it. Because it's a different modality. You could do splits for a while, for a little bit of while in the beginning, and then they'll stop working. And then it's time to do something else. Maybe full body for a while. Resensitize, come back. Those are actually the better ones, where you get a full body repair and a remodeling, and then you resensitize, and then you come back. And overtraining of that muscle to get more muscle. That's how it works. And bodybuilding is really based on muscle damage. It isn't based on metabolic stress. If you want to do some metabolic stress, then go walk with a heavy weight on your back for 10 miles or whatever, for 20 miles, okay? A day. All right, because somebody asked me, like I said, in my comment section, they're like, well, I thought it was, doesn't matter how much I eat, it just builds the muscle automatically. Not muscle damage, it doesn't, because there's an apoptosis. There's a necrosis of the muscle and apoptosis, and there's protein degradation at the same time. So protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown when it comes to muscle damage in a gym. Most people are doing eccentric, concentric movements. They are not walking with heavy buckets on their back for 20 miles a day. Get it? Yeah, man. Where that's going to allocate a small amount of calories that you're eating to those cells to grow them bigger and stronger so that the buckets of water feel lighter. Here's the purpose. If you're walking with a heavy weight on your back for miles, your body the muscles are going to automatically grow bigger and allocate the little calories that you have. They're going to allocate them because if you're not eating enough, it's going to allocate it to those cells to get bigger and stronger so that the weight feels lighter on the frame. Yeah, that's usually how it works, okay? But in eccentric, concentric, it's based on muscle damage, man. Yeah.
It's not really even a flip-flop. It is simply accepting the scientific evidence. And that is what we have to do. If we're going to be intellectually...
All right, the scientific evidence, man. Here's scientific evidence, okay? So satellite cells are a population of muscle-resident stem cells that are essential for efficient tissue repair. SCs reside in relatively quiescent state. They're asleep during normal tissue turnover, but see what they say? They're relatively quiescent in a quiescent state during normal tissue turnover, but are activated, listen to this, they're activated in response to what? Injury through the microenvironment and cell intrinsic signals. Okay. Upon, here it is, satellite cells, are they activated? What causes it? Well, upon injury, the combination of signals is generated to damage myofibers, blood vessels, and immune cells to wake up the quiescent satellite cells. The activated satellite cells also signal back to the environment to orchestrate orderly muscle regeneration. Okay. That's for it regenerates muscle that way. How do satellite cells respond to muscle injury? Following acute muscle injury, satellite cells, SCs, the muscle stem cells become activated, proliferate, and differentiate into myoblasts, which fuse to form new myofibers. Oh, how about that? New muscle, eh? Okay. What increases satellite cell activity? An increase in SC content has been reported after 45 to 55 minutes of moderate to high intensity endurance exercise. Okay, yeah. Whereas a similar, 30 minutes intense exercise was not observed. So, yeah, they just tell you a whole bunch here about why it's activated, whatever, through muscle damage. Okay, man? So that's the science, okay? But again, they rapidly adapt, because here's what happens, okay? So, let's see. This famous map that everybody likes here. The nucleus overload. Yeah, for those who don't know what nucleus overload, it means, lame name by the way, it means blasting your muscles with high intensity, high volume exercises with short rest periods. You would do this for 4 straight, whatever weeks, 1 to 2 week breaks. 1 to 2 week break from any lifting. So listen to what they say. You would do this for 4 weeks straight and then take 1 to 2 week breaks from any lifting. I don't do it that way. I take a whole week off to repair and remodeling. I do it properly. This is kind of bullshitty, but whatever. So they usually list it here. The famous map, yeah, nuclei overload, whatever, acquired by. They usually list it here at the bottom. There's a map there, a famous map. There's the evidence. It always says untrained muscle. First training satellite cell fusion. There you go. Nuclei, whatever. These nuclei synthesize proteins. So hyperplasia comes first, then hypertrophy. See? Hyperplasia, then hypertrophy. Satellite cell fusion, and then they hypertrophy. Get it? Well, guess what? They reach an MND size limit. That's the problem. They reach an MND size limit. Why do they reach an MND size limit during hypertrophic process? Because they've adapted. They've adapted, man. Get it? They've adapted. Again. Myonuclear domain. MND size has a ceiling limit during hypertrophic process, beyond which extra myonuclei are donated by satellite cell to support further muscle growth. Because they can't support further muscle growth because they've adapted. They've adapted. To support more further muscle growth, you need to do something that you're not accustomed to doing, unaccustomed to doing. You understand me? You have to be untrained doing it, or unaccustomed, or unfamiliar. Yeah, unfamiliar forms get this. Okay. I can still bring up more things, the reason why it's not getting damaged. Because it's an adaptation process. Repeat about effect. There you go. The repeat about effect protects muscle from any more damage. It refers to the repeat about effect refers to the adaptation where a single bout of eccentric exercise protects muscle from damage with subsequent eccentric bouts. So that's why bro splits, they're not really, they work and then they stop working. Why? Because the repeat about effect phenomena protects muscle from any more damage. How does it do that? How does this do that? It's easy, by growing muscle. By repairing and remodeling new muscle fibers bigger and stronger, they are resilient from becoming damaged. The defense mechanism are the ones that got damaged in the beginning. They start defending the weaker muscles from becoming damaged. So you need to do some different stuff. See what I mean? Yeah. Unless you want to walk with a heavy weight for 20 miles.
Honest, and we look at the data ourselves and look at compiled study after study after study, and it conflicts with something we used to believe when we realized there were flaws in the methodology and ideas of the old studies.
I could tell you this much. Blaha he's got no muscle. There's nothing. He never built any muscle. He just looks like a regular dude walking down the street. I don't know if his steroids work or they didn't work for him. Maybe they just worked to help him lift a heavy weight, or they just bloated him up a bit with some fucking carbohydrates. They blew him up with carbohydrates, but he has no muscle. He may have gotten some maybe newbie gains in the beginning when he first lifted over whatever 20 something years ago or something when he started, but I really doubt that even. Yeah, I really doubt that.
You have to accept that, guys. That is how
Hi, my name is Perwez.
we evolve in our knowledge. We don't just ignore new science, okay? And I'm again showing with this that I am not dogmatic. I'm not one of the people who say, well, this is what I believe, and this is how I program this, how I do stuff as a coach and a lifter, and I'm just going to completely ignore new data and evidence. Because it's not that.
I don't know what he's talking about. When you new data, what new evidence? Everything works in the beginning and then it stops working. Yeah.
The old.
Think about it. Why do they always have all these exercise plans for you? Why do they constantly give you exercise plans? It's kind of obvious. People know. They go to the gym and things stop working. They weigh themselves on the scale's not going up. They keep doing the same exercises. Their bodies are not changing. They're not moving. They're not doing anything. A natural body does not change very much. It doesn't change very much. With a natural body, it only ever changes in an adaptation. You could take steroids and fake it. See what I mean? It's kind of obvious. People that take steroids don't look natural. It's impossible for a drug addict, a steroid drug addict, to look natural when he takes steroids. It's impossible because he took a drug. It's going to change. It's going to temporarily change your body cosmetically. So when people say, well, oh, a fake natty, he's a fake natty, this and that, it's kind of obvious. You could tell the difference between a fake natty and a natural person. Look at a natural person walking down the street and look at a guy that injected himself with steroids. Does he look like the natural guy walking down the street? Fucking no, dude. Hello. It's kind of obvious he's fake. That's why when you look at Jeff Nippard, he's fake. Does he look like a natural person walking down the street? And him and his stupid fucking bodybuilding competitions. Look at him. No, I'll absolutely not. See what I mean? Now, I'm not saying that natural people walking down the street, they can't gain some muscle or something. They can't gain some size going to a gym or, I don't know, lifting boxes in a factory or doing some construction work or whatever they're doing to their body. But they'll still never look like a steroid person. You understand me? So yeah, but that's unnatural. Again, if here's the thing, a natural person, if they do labor work, that's unnatural for them to do labor work. Okay, it's unnatural for humans to do labor work. It's natural for them to be hunters and hunt for food, or gather, if you want to call it that. Hunt and gather. That stupid line, hunting and gathering. Maybe they're gathering corpses. I don't know, okay? But whatever you want to call it. But if a natural person starts doing things that are unnatural to their body, like calisthenics, weightlifting, construction work, factory work, whatever, these are all unnatural. Yeah, their body is going to somewhat change. So that's unnatural, get it? The formation of that body is something you're doing unnatural will happen to your body. But it'll never look like somebody who took steroids, okay? There you go. So are these fake natties, natties, whatever, unnatural? Yes, because the means is unnatural, what they're doing to themselves. But anyways, like I said, in a natural world, it rapidly adapts. You have to do several different things to get new adaptations. It's based on an adaptation system. Get it, man? And for steroid people, it's not based on that whatsoever. It's based on injecting plant genetics, steroids.
Didn't work. I mean, I've built elite lifters. Okay, you guys have seen me put up.
He never built any elite lifters. He's lying. He took steroids.
Videos of people deadlifting 700, squatting 600, benching 400 plus.
Yeah, they're all taking steroids, even if he did have any of these people. So it's all bullshit, man. They never did it themselves. You understand me? They just use drugs.
Among clients of mine over the years, I've done that. We're talking raw lifters and stuff too. Most of that's like not even sleeves. So it obviously works. But when we're talking about physique development, people have done really well on body parts. But is anyone going to deny that people have not been extremely successful bodybuilders, fitness models, everything else, doing once a week training for a body part? We've observed it for decades. We can't say it doesn't work. The only argument that we had, and it was myself and all these other evidence-based people, there were a ton of us saying this stuff 10 years ago. So it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me. Upper lowers and things were extremely common. And that was very common in the strength world. There's extremely common. I mean, West Side Barbell ran upper lowers, right? 5-3-1 upper lowers, 4-day upper lower.
Okay, upper and lower, and what? If they're on steroids, does it really matter? For a natural person to get an adaptation, they need to do several different things. You understand me? It's based on an adaptation principle. If you're adapted, there's no more adaptations. So it's time to move on to do something else.
Programs.
Look, I'm doing splits right now, and I started doing higher repetitions. But again, it's rapidly adapting. And so I may have to move back to doing exorbitantly much heavier weight, right? And lessen the repetitions and do much heavier weight in a split. The only reason I'm doing a split is because I can keep coming in often. Now, if I overexert myself doing super high repetitions, well, then I have to take more time off in between exercises to recover. That's the difference. That's why my videos, you can see them, I'm missing many days in between because I need more rest time now.
That in the strength world, so we know it works for that. Plenty of champions, plenty of people with world records trained in that way. But you come over to bodybuilding.
Yes, plenty of people with these fake records. They took drugs to fake these records, yes.
Physique, the splits worked really well. Our argument, though, was based upon those studies, limited studies.
Again, they would have these so-called split things would have worked forever for steroid people. They could do anything, and they're gonna look unnaturally big and unnaturally strong because they're taking plant genetics. They're injecting Blaha. Get it?
That we're saying, hey, muscles only grow up to about 48 hours after you train them. That's what appears to be the case, and then muscle protein synthesis returns to baseline.
Is this for steroid people or for natural people that are doing things that are unnatural to their body by lifting weights, Blaha?
And here's what our idea was. People would say, well, it doesn't mean you have to do that, but the idea was that if you did too much volume, see where we're going? A lot of us were under the impression, as we all discussed this, we discussed this stuff with each other back then. We had little conversations and stuff. And it was, well, if the volume is too high from a single workout, you may not even start growing for 24 hours while that muscle damage and stuff recovers.
Oh, did he say muscle damage recovers 48 hours? It takes a long time for muscles that are damaged to repair and remodel. It takes over a week period. It tells you that in Science, Blaha. You obviously know that, right? You said you read the literature. In a natural body that gets damaged, like in an adaptation means you're getting muscle damage. If you're not getting muscle damage, it means you're adapted. So if you're getting it in an adaptation, that's going to take you a week to repair and remodel that muscle. Now, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. Otherwise, you're going to get an apoptosis of that muscle, and it's going to get smaller instead of bigger. Get it, man? See that? So yeah, steroid people are all adapted to their exercises. They're not looking for adaptations. They're just going to blow up because it's sarcoplasmic. It's artificial muscle growth.
And if we only have up to 48 hours of growth, we might only be growing for one day on a really high volume once a week. That's just inefficient. It's not going to work. We need at least that 2 day a week. And then if we have less volume.
What are you talking about 2 days? Muscles don't repair and remodel in 2 days. If they actually really got damaged in an adaptation, they take a week period, bro.
We recover quicker. We're not missing growth while the tissue is repairing, and then we'll end up getting triple the growth time and all that stuff. This was
No. It repairs and remodels stronger so that any further assault will be prevented in any more damage. So you need to do something else. It's like a protective wall. There's a wall there now. It built up a wall protecting itself from any more damage, assaults from your bimbo exercises, Blaha. You understand me, bimbo?
ideas. But keep in mind,
Are you sitting on the sidelines of the stock market?
it's just hypothesis based upon the limited available data. The studies have now shown pretty consistently that once a week training can grow just as much muscle as 2 or 3 times if they do the same volume. In other words,
Yeah, once a week training. If you train once a week, and I'm not talking about in a split, full body, then yeah, there's a repair and a remodeling for a natural person. How a person's muscles build for a normal person off the street and a person who's taking plant genetics is totally different. You understand me? Here's the thing. Can a natural person create artificial muscle growth without getting any adaptations? Yes, eating carbohydrates. If you eat loads and loads of carbohydrates and lift in the gym, you can build these artificial muscles. They're not based on an adaptation system. Look, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is not based on an adaptation process, but muscles, myofibrillar growth is based on adaptations, okay? So when steroid people inject these plant genetics, they're not getting adaptations in the gyms. In the gym, they're eating carbohydrates, a high carbohydrate diet with protein. The protein's not doing very much. There's some turnover. They're getting what they call sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. It's building up in the muscle. Yeah. And it can stay in there. It's not going to just like leak out. So even on a natural person, they get the same thing, sarcoplasmic muscle. It doesn't just like go away because you load it up. It's an energy source, ATP. You can read this in science. There's 2 types of hypertrophy. There's myofibrillar growth and sarcoplasmic. So people confuse the two. If you truly want to see how muscles grow, then eat protein. If protein grows muscles, why are you eating carbohydrates? What's the purpose behind it? See what I mean? Here's another thing. Carbohydrates are from plants. It's sugar. They're from plants. And then people say, well, I feel stronger on carbohydrates. Why? Because it's a drug. All drugs are made from plants and all plants are drugs. They are. And so they give you an artificial type of strength too as well when you eat plants. That's why people say, well, I don't feel so strong just eating protein alone. Yeah, because plants are like drugs, bro. When you eat them, they give you some artificial fucking strength for lifting something or whatever, doing a bunch of shit.
if you do, say, 12 sets in one workout versus 6 sets in 2 workouts or 4 sets in 3 workouts, you gain just as much muscle. Okay?
Yeah, you gain just as much what? Sarcoplasmic muscle or myofibrillar growth? You don't gain myofibrillar growth doing sets. You get damaged muscles, like he said in the beginning there, but I guess he's so stupid he doesn't even understand what he's even saying. First he says muscle damage, and now he says you grow muscles in sets. Did the muscles grow in sets, Blaha, or did they grow due to muscle damage? Which one is it? So he's admitting that sets build muscles. How do they build muscles? For every gram of glycogen, 3 grams of water are drawn between the skin and the muscle into the muscle. Get it? Yeah, man. So it's sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Sets will build sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. But muscle damage, if they are damaged through an adaptation, then they'll repair bigger and stronger, but they'll be resilient from getting damaged again. So you need to keep looking for a new adaptation. That is the issue. That's the problem. It is highly regulated by follistatin, myostatin, and the satellite cell muscles, myofibular hypertrophy. So I really don't understand what this slave is talking about.
See where we're going with this? Gain just as much muscle.
Yeah, sarcoplasmic muscle. Okay, Blaha.
That's what the studies are showing. However, here's the other thing. We also have studies showing that working muscles from multiple angles produces more total growth by a small amount.
Yeah, any angles? Man, he's really stupid, isn't he? Look. So there are two types of muscular hypertrophy. Myofibular, which is an increase in myofibrils, and sarcoplasmic, which is an increase in muscle glycogen storage. Skeletal muscles connect to the bones by tendons and are responsible for movement. Bundles of muscles, okay, known as myositis, make up the skeletal muscles, whatever. So sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. How many reps for sarcoplasmic hypertrophy? Well, it doesn't really matter. You could do anything to get sarcoplasmic. It's really based on carbohydrates. That's the truth, man. It's based on, when you're adapted to your exercises and you you stay there doing the same exercises again and again, you're not getting any more adaptations. What you're gonna get is sarcoplasmic hypertrophy because you're eating carbohydrates. Look, I'll explain this. Let's say you came in, you were untrained, you got these newbie gains, you were lifting these weights. You come back and you keep doing them again. Okay, and you're on a high protein diet, no carbohydrates. Notice you're never gaining any weight on the scale. Your muscles are never growing. There's nothing going on there except you're getting an inflammatory response, okay? They're inflaming constantly coming in the gym. That's what you're doing. Okay. Now you introduce carbohydrates to your muscles and you're doing the same exercises now in an adapted state. You're adapted to these exercises. You're not moving for new adaptations, doing different exercises or specific things. Now the scale is moving up and you're gaining this so-called muscle. You think it's muscle, okay? But it's really sarcoplasmic. It's a type of artificial muscle growth. Yeah. So, basically, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is a kind of artificial muscle growth. You train the muscle for no other reason than to visually increase its size by increasing the amount of fluid it can hold, but you do not increase the density of the muscle fibers. Listen to what they say. They say you train the muscle for no other reason than to visually increase the size through fluid. No, you guys are not training it by, you are, how should I put it? You people in the gym are training it accidentally. You aren't training it purposely to get this fluid. It's because you don't understand that bodybuilding is based on an adaptation system. So all you people are failing in the gym, get it? Along with the steroid people. That's why when they go after steroids, all the phony muscles go away, because real muscle is based on an adaptation system. It's almost impossible to grow muscles. That myonuclear domain size limit is almost impossible to pass. No steroid can bypass MND size limit. You understand me? No steroid, no drug, nothing can bypass it. It is highly regulated by the satellite cell and myostatin, follistatin. And when they say that the satellite cell is beyond where it can donate extra nuclei to that domain to support further muscle growth, they fucking mean it, dude. Get it, bro? They fucking mean it.
We also know that recovery is a big deal. You need to be able to actually be recovered by the time you hit your next workout. How often, when we're doing higher frequency, is our chances of not recovering and we have a weaker benching day? Pretty frequently. can't replicate our performance always. Okay? Right? That's a problem. Here's the thing though, we still get away with that for strength training because we just balance it out. We balance it, we just adjust volume and everything. But when you start looking at the splits, why have they been successful for physiques in spite of that? Well, it turned out that the stuff on the muscle protein synthesis probably isn't true. The data's been skewed on that. It could last quite a bit longer. It could possibly last up to a week. We also have the fact that
It does last up to a week, man. He's such an idiot. In muscle, if your muscles get damaged, protein synthesis is extended for that entire week. It's kind of obvious. If the muscles take a week to repair and remodeling, then that must mean that protein synthesis is extended for that entire week and blood levels are elevated. You understand me? Muscles are growing for that entire week. Yeah.
you're not really getting true downtime. We're still getting activity in those muscles. You're still getting some stimulus, especially if you're doing other lifts. Now, granted, it's a little less overlap if you're doing, say, a push-pull legs 3 times.
Yeah, but granted, if you're adapted to all these exercises, there's a secondary shift in hypertrophy. It's called sarcoplasmic, which is not regulated by the satellite cell, you understand me, or follistatin and myostatin, like fat cells. They're not overseen by these things.
Times a week, that's the most extreme, probably low volume variation you're going to do with something like this. But there's going to be some overlap. Because even you're pulling, telling me the chin-ups and deadlifts and stuff aren't working the chest and things a little bit, right? See where we're going? Stuff is still getting pushed and pulled and stretched. It's still happening. We're still forcing those muscles to do a little work, blood flow. There's probably overlap just in terms of ability to keep the muscle stimulated through the week during all of that. If anything, a lot of that is almost active recovery. You're getting that through there. But when you start doing a really serious split, like a 4 or 5 day split, your muscles are still getting reworked. They're definitely getting reworked. Especially if you're doing stuff like what do you see me doing, having a posterior chain is a different day than my quad day. There's a tremendous amount of overlap. Having chest and back on one day, then arms on another, shoulders on another, there's overlap. There's still chest and back work being done on all these. There's arm work, shoulder work being done on these.
No matter how hard you work.
Being done on all these. There's arm work, shoulder work being done on the other day. It's all gonna...
I don't know anybody in like real heavy duty labor jobs, man, that look massive. Oh, of course, they eat and they put on some weight, some artificial weight too, and weight and whatever. There's a lot of weight there, artificial weight, some sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, whatever else mixed in there. But I don't know anybody that actually, even in labor jobs working constantly, do they get to a point where they're massive, superly massive, unless, of course, like I said, in these jobs, they're doing several different things, getting new adaptations. They're getting new adaptations. Like, look, working on a farm, you're going to get a lot of new adaptations. You adapt to certain movements, certain things you're doing. I'm talking about the old farms. People used to really work hard. And then they would do something else for a while. And then for a while, they had to do something else. So they get a lot of these adaptations and regeneration in muscle growth. So yeah, that's totally different. Plus, they eat shitloads of food on farms. They can afford it. They have a lot of food there. Have you seen these farmers? They eat, man, like crazy. My family, there were farmers. On my mom's side, there were farmers. And they were massive, and they ate a lot. Jesus, bro. They ate a lot, I'm telling you. And they got several different types of adaptations in that job. I know because I went there with them to work with them. They took me and they showed me. And I'm telling you, my body hurt for days. I couldn't even move. And I was a teenager. I couldn't move, man, like for the next couple of days. And then they told me to rest for a bit, right? And then couple of days, and then they took me out again to do something else, and then my body hurt again. That's how I learned this. That's how I started to understand this process of what an adaptation means. Your body hurts for a whole week. What is that? That's muscle injuries. They've been injured. They've been damaged, the muscle fibers.
overlap. And here's the rest of it though. We start looking at the ability to work multiple muscles. If you...
And I can't tell you how many adaptations you can get or how much the scale will go up according to this adaptation. I can't really tell you that, but it can tell you that myofibrillar growth halts when there's a 0 adaptations. It increases when there's an adaptation. And then you need to eat. Without food, that domain cannot be pushed. Protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown in muscle to see that growth.
Know that you don't need to train the muscle again directly for a week. We can do a lot of volume in one session. This also allows us to do multiple exercises pretty easily. In other words, you're not going to work muscles from 3 different angles training a muscle twice a week, unless you're just splitting it up, in which case you're not replicating the same lifts anyway, so there's no advantage there. The advantage of the higher frequency has often been, well, we can bench twice a week, we can squat twice a week, we get more practice at the motor patterns. But from a hypertrophy perspective, a higher variation within the week tends to give a little more muscle growth according to the data. So you're not really going to work a muscle.
According to the data, get more muscle growth during the week. According to the data, what type of muscle growth is this, Blaha? Sarcoplasmic or myofibrillar? According to the data, it's based on adaptations.
From 3 angles twice a week and still recover from all of it. You're going to have to rotate movements through the week. Now you're just losing the advantage anyways. It's just easier at that point to do it on a split, or specifically, like what do you see me doing up to like 4 exercises for the same muscle in one workout? You're not doing that training.
4 exercises for the same muscle. Why do you need 4 exercises for the same muscle? I mean, let's say he did arms. He did 4 different ones for arms. You really could just stick with 1. Maybe you're bored, so you do 2, a dumbbell and barbells. I don't know, man. It's relative, right? It's relative. I don't know why he's doing that. You know what I mean? Doesn't make sense. Does he want it to completely adapt? He's adapted.
The muscle multiple times a week unless you're doing insane volumes that are probably counterproductive. So when we're looking at it from the perspective of the muscle protein synthesis thing has been largely debunked, but then we're looking at how can I get the most variation? How can I make sure I work every angle of a muscle? You know, you guys saw me do 4 different exercises for my chest this week, 4 different exercises.
That's not going to matter if you're adapted. That's why you're not growing, Blaha. Blaha's not growing. It doesn't matter what exercises he does. He is not growing. It's kind of obvious. Look at his videos. He's never growing.
For my lats. Last time I did curls, I did 3 different types of curls.
Listen, if he was really growing, then he would stand on the scale and show you. He would go, okay, look, guys, I'm building muscle, right? He had to have a scale there in his stupid gym garage, and stand on the scale and go, look, see, I'm gaining muscle. Look, there's a I don't know, a 1/4 of a pound, there's a 1/2 a pound, right? Another 1/2 a pound, another 1/4 of a pound, or whatever he's gaining there, I don't know, or a pound in muscle per week, or whatever the hell he's doing. He would have a scale to show you that he's gaining this muscle, but he's just fabricating and making this stuff up because body does the talking. Looking at his body, there's a 0 growth there. Look, me personally, I'm not really, I'm doing splits, but I'm not really there in the gym to grow muscle. It's the ratio from fat to muscle is what I want. The scale is not going to ever go. It's not going to go up. The weight is going to stay the same. The muscle is going to go up and the fat is going to go down at the same time. That's all I'm trying to do. It's a slower process so I don't burn out my muscle. And at the same time, I can get them a little bit bigger in a few adaptations and splits, and then I can decrease the body fat because I'm on a high protein diet. I'm not eating carbohydrates.
That's not even counting the chin-ups and stuff on the back day. And we're working all of these angles to make sure that we are recruiting every last available muscle fiber. Right? If we're working every function, every angle of a muscle, we are ensuring we're stimulating as much possible muscle growth as we can from a single workout.
Okay, he's telling, first he said, remember he said muscle damage. Now he's telling you recruiting muscle for muscle growth. Okay, you're recruiting them for what? What type of muscle growth? Sarcoplasmic. Again, if you're recruiting muscles for muscle growth to absorb more glycogen, yeah, then it's sarcoplasmic. Is that the type of, is that the reason you're going to the gym? Is because you too want to create a cosmetic look through this, what is it, this sarcoplasmic growth? You want a cosmetic look too? A fake, artificial cosmetic fucking muscle, bro? It's fake. Look, bro. It's fake. What does it say here? Basically, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is what? A kind of artificial muscle growth. How is it artificial? You train the muscle for no other reason than to what? Visually increase its size by increasing the amount of fluid it can hold. But you do not increase the density of the muscle fibers. When does muscle do that? When does it do this? In an adapted state and when you're eating carbohydrates, because you all love your carbs. Get it? You're carbohydrate fiends. You guys eat more carbs than you eat protein. That's your problem. You eat carbs all day.
Okay? We're stimulating everything. We are maximizing it. And again, we would have argued in the past within that week to
Hell, I'm leaner than Blaha. I'm leaner than him. Man, I haven't even been doing the things that he's been doing. I don't know what the hell he's doing to lower his body fat. But his muscles are puffy, sarcoplasmic-y. I'm on a high protein diet and I'm lifting. And I'm trying to do things I'm trying to eke out new adaptations at the same time while burning body fat. So I don't lose any muscle. So that muscle to fat ratio goes up.
Cover isn't necessary, it's not beneficial, but it does appear to be because that higher frequency doesn't seem to produce more growth. So really it's just a case of maximizing it. And
higher frequency doesn't create more growth in what, sarcoplasmic? Again, like, man, see this? Notice here it says muscle fiber hypertrophy in response to 6 weeks of high volume resistance training. Remember what they were talking about, high volume, people that do high volume in the gym? This is what I'm trying to explain to you. People that are trained, that come into the gym and they're doing high volume resistance training in trained young men is largely what? Attributed to what? Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Okay, so what is attributed to myofibular growth as opposed to sarcoplasmic hypertrophy? Myofibular hypertrophy. What is it? An adaptation. It's based on adaptations, muscle damage. That's what it's based on. The fusing of muscle fibers. Like it said there. Remember we read it, the fusion of the muscle fibers? Yeah. That's what it's based on. But this is cellular. Look, this is called cellular adaptations. You see, these adaptations are called cellular adaptations that occur during skeletal muscle hypertrophy in response to high volume resistance training. You understand me? Are not well characterized, therefore we sought to explore them. They did. It's based on glycogen storage. See that? Yeah. So these are cellular adaptations, broski. You understand me, man? Yeah. So if I go back here to, where is it? I think we were looking at it before. Hold on a second. Stem cells. Remember this? So this one right here. So what is myofibular adaptations based on? Well, they're based on following acute muscle injury satellite cells. The stem cells become activated. They proliferate and they differentiate into myoblasts, which fuse to form new myofibers. Did it sound like that over there? Cellular adaptations. These are based on myofibrillar adaptations. Myofibrillar. Get it? Yeah. I don't even know what they would say here to myofibrillar adaptations, even if I typed it. But yeah, that's myofibrillar adaptations, bro. See the difference? Cellular adaptations.
I mean, I feel like my physique is already improving doing it. I feel like I already have some weak areas that are starting to come up. So it does appear to be working. And again, we could argue with that old evidence all we wanted, but the counter argument against us was always, but it seems to work. You're arguing it's not the best, but guys are sure getting good results on it.
Yeah, they're getting good results on it. Cellular adaptations, yeah. They're getting some cellular adaptations, Blaha, yes.
And therein lay your problem with arguing against it. And the problem I had, it was a point where it just gets stubborn. And now that there's no longer data to really even support.
You know, it's kind of funny. You have cellular adaptations, right? Cellular, these phony muscles. And then you get real muscles, which are based on an adaptation system called muscle damage. And then you have people that lift a heavy weight. That's based on androgen receptor strength for maximum force production. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? These are adaptations. They're all based on adaptation. It's an adaptation system. When you lift a heavy weight in an adapted state, forget about the cellular adaptations and myofibrillar adaptations. If you're in adapted state completely, forget about those two, and you're moving now for like lifting heavy weights, then that's an adaptation in androgen receptor strength. Get it? Yeah, that's what it is. Now, which one is real and which ones are fake? Well, the heavy lifting is fake, and these cellular adaptations are fake. They're artificial. Yeah, they're artificial. They're artificial because you can't see or touch this strength, get it? The androgen receptors, and they go away. They can go away. That strength for lifting a heavy weight can go away. But muscular adaptations, that's different. They're permanent. Get it? They stick around. They stay. And they make you stronger. They make you naturally, physically stronger than your natural strength would be if you increased your myofibrillar count. Yeah. Get it, man?
The other idea, you have to abandon it and say, you know what? Body part splits are probably really good for physique purposes. They may not be optimal for powerlifting.
For what? For sarcoplasmic cellular adaptation, sarcoplasmic, or myofibrillar growth, Blaha? He says they're not optimal for powerlifting. Why? What's powerlifting? Lifting a heavy weight, getting adaptations in what? In myocytic androgen receptor strength. I have to bring this up too? Okay. Here's powerlifting. So this is the adaptation that powerlifters get in their lifting. Myocytic androgen receptor controls the strength but not the mass of the limb muscles. See that? When they did the demonstration here, when they took away these things, thus the androgens control penile limb muscles mass. They talk about, importantly, we also show that AR deficiency in limb myositis impairs myofibrillar organization of sarcomeres and decreases muscle strength, thus demonstrating that myocytic androgen receptor controls key pathways required for maximum force production. See that? And then when you take them away, when they go away, that maximum force production goes away. Plus, there's something called motor units. You proliferate these motor units. I don't know if I can find that either. So the motor unit consists of a single motor neuron and all the muscle fibers innervates. The number of muscle fibers innervated by the single motor axon is the innervation ratio, which is whatever. I ain't gonna go into the whole thing. It activates motor units is what it does. The difference between a motor unit and a motor pool. Oh, I didn't know that. I've never read this one before. So a motor unit is a single motor neuron and the muscle fibers that is innervates, and a motor pool consists of all of the motor neurons that innervate a single muscle. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I need to read that again. I don't know. So what is the difference between a motor unit and a sarcomere? See, a motor unit and a sarcomere. Let's see. The length of a sarcomere is optimal when the zone of overlap between thin and thick filaments is greatest. Muscles that are stretched or compressed too greatly do not produce maximum amounts of power. They don't. A motor unit is formed by a motor neuron and all of the muscle fibers that are innervated by that same motor neuron. But guess what? When you stop lifting, it goes away because it's artificial. It's temporary. It's not permanent. Muscle is permanent. You can touch it. You can feel it. But sarcoplasmic is fake, and these motor neurons, when they proliferate, when they're not, they go away, and so does this shit, man. The androgen receptor, it goes away too. So there you go. That just says it all, dude.
May not be optimal. They can be, though. We've certainly seen champions who do it at the world level.
Oh yeah, sure.
But are they optimal for physique? Is it going to give you that last little tiny bit? Very possibly. And already most people have already trained that way for a long time. It's the normal. It's the norm, and it has been.
Oh yeah.
You can communicate with people easier that way. See your chest day, bro. Because Monday is International Chest Day. Sometimes there's a point where you just have to embrace it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
It was very uninformative because he didn't explain any of what this growth was. He just said muscle damage, and then he says you're building muscles with doing reps, but he didn't tell you what kind it was, and he didn't explain what kind of strength you get when you lift a heavy weight. He doesn't talk about adaptations at all whatsoever, whether it's cellular adaptations, myofibular, is it based on, androgen receptors, motor unit proliferation, adaptations in motor units. He doesn't really explain anything to you in his videos. It's all garbage. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, friends.